Are these players being overlooked in FPL for Game Week 1? The idea with this video isn't for me to tell you that you are overlooking these players. It's to provide you with a point of view so that you can make an informed decision on whether to think about putting them in your team. So I've gone through and picked some players that have maybe less ownership than I would expect. So let me know your thoughts, and maybe some of you have actually got these players in your drafts already. So first off, we've got Robinson at just 5.2% ownership. He's one of our nailed defender options at 4.5 million. Obviously, a lot of people are going for Burn, Mikalenko, Konsa, Gahey, Anderson. Even Van de Ven at 8.1 and Martinez at 5.6 have a higher ownership than Robinson. I'm not saying he's my favourite 4.5 million defender, that's not what I'm trying to say here. As I like Konsa and Anderson, but I'm surprised he's the lowest on this list. Clean sheet potential last season wasn't great for Fulham, with the expected goals conceded at 1.7 per 90. But he had an expected goal involvement of 0.12 per 90, which is the second best attacking data from any defender at that price range. And he has a fixture run of Man United, Leicester, Ipswich, West Ham, Newcastle and Nottingham Forest, which is not a bad start to the season at all. Next up, we've actually got another Fulham player in Andreas Pereira at only 4.2% ownership. Obviously, we've just mentioned Fulham's fixture run, and at a price of 5.5 million, I think he could be a great shout. I guess the other players we'd be thinking about there are Rodgers or Hudson-Odoi, but Andreas has the best underlying data at that price range with a points per 90 of 4.37 and expected goal involvement of 0.35 per 90. He's on penalties and he's on some set pieces and corners that he sometimes shares with Willian. I just feel like Andreas is such a consistently good performer with a lot of opportunities to score FPL points. The only thing that would force him to play a deeper role in the Fulham side would be that Fulham are looking to sign Smith Rowe from Arsenal, but even then, he's still on set pieces, so I'm surprised to see him as low as 4.2% ownership. I've added Bruno Fernandes to this video. I am aware that he's at 14.2% ownership, which you might think, how is he overlooked if he's in over 14% of teams? But for Man United's best and most consistent FPL asset, I'm shocked he's not higher at 8.5 million. I do think FPL have priced him perfectly this year. Last season, his goals and assists per 90 was 0.52 and expected assisted goals at 0.34. With him on penalties and some free kicks and corners as well, with a better team around him, and Man United are making some very good signings in my opinion. For the first season in ages, they're bringing in thought-out players that will improve the team and depth of the squad, rather than just splashing the cash on some big personality player. I think this will only help Bruno as an FPL asset, and the fixture run isn't the best, but it's also not bad. They've got Fulham, Brighton, Liverpool, Southampton, Crystal Palace and Tottenham in their first 6. Next up is a player I think is being overlooked the most. KDB at just 6.9% ownership. I think people are forgetting that he was injured for so much of last season. I don't think he came back until about the end of January. So I think everyone's looking at the points he scored last season and thinking, wow, that's low, but he got 1.03 goals and assists per 90 last season, only beaten by Palmer at 1.14 per 90. And an expected assisted goals last season was 0.85. He's on free kicks for Man City, and he's the same price as Foden, who got 0.85 goals and assists per 90 last season, yet there's an ownership difference of over 25%. They've got Chelsea, Ipswich, West Ham, Brentford, Arsenal and Newcastle in their first 6. And after that, the run gets a lot better too. So maybe he's a player people will bring in after the first 6, but I feel he could do some serious damage in Game Week 2 against Ipswich. The only thing that puts me off is the potential move to Saudi, but I don't think that's going to happen, to be honest. 6.9% ownership seems crazy for one, if not the best player in the league. Let's talk about Szoboszlai next, who's at 1.6% ownership. He's at 6.5 million, so has quite a lot of competition at that price, with Bailey, Gibbs-White, Garnacho, Johnson, Kudus, and more. But at the same price, I feel he could be a little bit of a hidden gem. He could be playing a more advanced role in the slot, so we need to keep an eye on the pre-season to see if that's true. His goals and assists per 90 last season was 0.21, and expected assisted goals at 0.25. This data is a lot lower than a lot of other midfielders at 6.5 million. But if he is playing in that advanced role, this data could skyrocket. Another thing to think about is that everyone's obviously focused on the front 3 at Liverpool, with 4 players fighting over 2 spots in the starting 11. Well, why not avoid all the rotation headache and get a nailed way into the Liverpool side for 6.5 million? They have the best fixture run of any side at the start of the season, with Ipswich, Brentford, Man United, Nottingham Forest, Bournemouth and Wolves in the first 6. So at 1.6% ownership, that could be some crazy green arrows if he performs well. Last up is Shaw at 5.4% ownership, who is alongside Udogie, Munoz, Matson, Dallo, Cucurella and Branthwaite at 5 million, who are all higher owned than Shaw apart from Munoz at 4.4%. The United defence wasn't good last season with 1.8 expected goals conceded per 90. But Shaw was out for a lot of last season, and we know how good he can be when fully fit, and how attacking he can be down that left side makes him the best source of attacking output in the United defence. If he does start taking more corners or set pieces again, we could see a massive improvement as an FPL asset. We've already mentioned with Bruno how much United have improved their squad, and so I think Shaw could be being overlooked as a good option at 5 million. They've got Fulham, Brighton, Southampton and Crystal Palace in their first 6 too. So there we are, that's some of the players this season that I think are being overlooked before game week 1. Let me know if there's anyone you think I've missed or any differentials you've got in your teams already. If you enjoyed the video, make sure to like and subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one.